Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and if you're new here, yes, I am going to use gendered language on this channel. Now, I've mostly been doing memes and alternate history lately, but now as the Ohio map has been taken down by court, because it was judged as being too much gerrymandered in violation of the Ohio Constitution, it means that they will have to put up a new map. Now, why was it put down? We know that it has something to do with the Ohio Constitution having an amendment that says that congressional districts must be fair, and the swing justice, the chief justice in Ohio, sided with the Democrats, even though she's a Republican, and said that it was unconstitutional. And is it? Well, both yes and no. This is the old map. So they have, well, 3 Democratic districts, and Tim Ryan's district that was originally meant to be Democratic is now a even district. And the new map is actually much more compact. It has much less thin, weird lines, and being also much more compact, it also has less seats that are favorable to the Democrats. Now, Marcy Kaptur's seat has been given much more countryside, much more rural areas, and is now very much leaning Republican, 8 points. And, well, I would say, to be honest, it does fit very much that Cleveland, which is a city, and Columbus, which is also a city, is together, that they are in their own congressional districts, and if the areas around are not democratic enough to make a new democratic district, well, I guess that's bad, but pretty much every area outside of this is heavily Republican. The only other ways you can make a democratic district in Ohio is to draw thin lines around Cincinnati, as was done in the old district here. So you can probably use this area to the south of Cleveland to make another Democratic district. And of course you can make 2 in Columbus, but that I would consider sort of gerrymandering in favor of the Democrats, because you would split up the district solely to make another Democratic district. And then of course Cincinnati, which is a traditionally Republican county, but it is also a big city that has been trending Democratic, and Steve Chabot is probably the only Republican that can continue to win there. He's obviously going to win in 2022, maybe not in 2024, but then he will be the only Republican able to do so. And yeah, Ohio really is abandoning the Democratic Party. So you can look at even the maps that the Democrats themselves have come up with have far more Republican districts than Democrats. Now, obviously, they want a seat in Cincinnati, which I think it's fair. I think it's much more fair than what they are asking for here, which is 2 in Columbus. And yeah, because that puts a lot of rural areas, a lot of Republicans again under a Democratic majority. And then you have this sort of weird handling of the Cleveland area, the Great Lakes area, which, shows that even the Democrats can't get that much out of this map. So to be honest, I think that everything the Republicans need to do is to put up a new map where it's either 3 or 4 Democrats, which, well, none of the maps here seem to be doing that. But yeah, I don't think any one of the ones that we have currently is going to work. But why is this happening in Ohio? Well, first of all, the last time the Democrats actually got more generic ballot votes in Ohio than the Republicans was in 2008, a very good year for Democrats, when they also won in Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, a lot of southern states, and the only strange state that you could say that Republicans won in was in Delaware, and I guess Florida, which went for Obama in that election. But Ohio, yes, Democrats did have the edge in Ohio, but they completely lost it in 2010, and they haven't gotten it back since. So, of course, a very good year for the GOP, where they flipped a lot of state legislatures and won the majority in many states that Obama would win twice, like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia, New Hampshire, Iowa, and a few states out west. So if you go even further to 2012, again the raw vote in the US House, Ohio is still red even though the state votes for Obama in the presidential race, so clearly a red-leaning state on the congressional level, even though Sherrod Brown is winning by a quite impressive margin in the Senate race. So the big weird surprise maybe in 2012 is that Republicans are not winning the vote in North Carolina, but they are winning it in the 5 toss-up states in this presidential election, where Romney is losing. He's losing both Ohio, Virginia, Florida, Colorado, and Nevada. But the Congressional House Republicans are winning on the generic ballot. Then in 2014, another year where Ohio is deep red. I mean, in this map it is colored in the same way as Tennessee and Arkansas and Kentucky. So clearly the Republicans have the advantage, and John Kasich is winning re-election here by a very big margin, and it pretty much tells you that Ohio is a red state ahead of 2016, when of course Trump is able to carry the state, and he can certainly thank people like Rob Portman and Congressional Republicans for getting some voters out, while he of course gets a lot of them out on his own merit. Now, if you think this map is strange, then let me explain why. In Wisconsin, Republicans would win if Ron Kind actually had an opponent, but he did not. That's of course a very likely flip in 2022 because he is retiring, but he did not have an opponent in 2016 while Trump won his district, so that's why Wisconsin is blue here. The other strange one, I guess, is Nevada, because it has been red in all the other ones. And that's because Joe Heck, who was a very popular US representative and won re-election by big margin, he ran for Senate. He was not doing that well there, he lost. So since then Democrats have had 3 seats out of Nevada and also won the generic ballot. But then is a blue wave year in 2018, and yes, the Republicans are still winning in Ohio. Ohio remains red as other states like Pennsylvania, Arizona, Colorado, Iowa even, they all elect Democrats on the generic ballot in the US House. And then the last one, of course, is 2020. And Ohio is still red. It has been so all the time. Florida has not been blue in a single election. And noticeably, there are several states, both Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia, where Republicans won the generic ballot, but Trump still lost. Which, you know, tells you where his most likely path was. Of course, North Carolina was the other way around. But anyway, this does mean that Republicans will have to draw a new map, and if this one is also taken down by court, I think we could actually see a court-drawn map in the state of Ohio, which would be very strange. Now, Ohio is the state that has a constitution that bans gerrymandering, and North Carolina, also the map is in litigation in Georgia as well, which could put those maps in jeopardy, but to be honest, those states do not have a anti-gerrymandering law, so they would probably be much safer. In the most gerrymandered state of the country, which is of course Illinois, there is also no such law, and the map is approved, and it is going to be the one that is going to be used in November. In the second most gerrymandered state in the country, Maryland, which is, well, it's actually in litigation. You know, the Democrats here have the numbers to override the veto by Larry Hogan, so that one is probably going to remain unless the courts somehow finds a way to put it down. But yeah, this definitely is it's bad. This definitely is a downturn to Republicans, who are already struggling with the new maps not being as favorable to them as the previous maps were. But I think that they are still going to have by far the advantage in 2022. And while it is still very unlikely that the Republicans don't win the House in 2022, what happens in 2024 is more of an open question, and the Democrats could probably have a good shot at taking it back then. And that is the point, as Chris Salisa would say. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.